Welcome back to the stream. This will be intentionally a pretty short one. So if you're seeing this in the archives as a little 20-minute fragmented video, it isn't broken, it's just a little one. So I actually meant to get started earlier today, but I got distracted by something that I feel is worth sharing with you folks, since I think there might be some overlap in interests between some of the stream folks and the thing that I got distracted by today. Anyway, welcome back. I think Tuco is down there on the floor. I wonder if we can see him. I set up a table over there to work on the Winch Bot leash when I needed a little more space. I think Tuco is right behind it right now. Let's move this slightly. The camera was just tracking the table until it noticed Tuco. That's pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, just a brief update. Since this is kind of a short stream, because I ran out of contiguous long blocks of time today, I thought it would be useful to give just a quick update and then maybe do a little bit of assembly on these winches. So we've had a lot of just random little projects recently, taking apart some stuff that people have sent in, and some of that seems pretty close to I can just edit it into a video. I just haven't quite got that together. Part of that is just spending the time editing. Part of it is figuring out what particular story I want to tell in each particular edited video, and I just need to do that work. But there's a big expensive teleconferencing codec with a lot of interesting pieces in it. There's a medical kind of muscle stimulator device. There's there's so much stuff. There's some old VCRs. There's this DLP that I found on the sidewalk that actually has a pretty interesting architecture inside and a full service manual. And there's all sorts of random stuff like that. There's several bold port kits, including I recently, I did a bit more work on that Ananas kit, which I'd like to turn into kind of a music video. So there's all these little things. There are bits of kind of fabrication and disassembly and reverse engineering accessible in all of those. The C90 codec especially has some interesting reverse engineering we could do. There's some other projects that maybe we can start that I haven't really been talking about, there's a console, the WonderSwan color, that I think the emulation community could use the ROMs extracted from its CPU, and so it might be a fun thing to try doing glitching on. Try developing a clock glitching attack, for example, that would extract the boot ROM from that device. So that would be more in the deeper kind of reverse engineering stuff, and we could get more into that. And that whole category of things, trying to reverse engineer a device so that, we can do better software preservation or, kind of gaming, emulation, that kind of thing. That's a pretty nice cause to dig in for. So if we can do that and learn some things about the computer architecture, that's pretty cool. So yeah, there's Tuco. Here's the, camera controllers responding a little slowly today. Here's the state of the Winch Bot. So we did a little more wiring on this on the last stream, and it needs some more work, but these 3 microcontroller boards with the 4th in here are all pretty much wired. We've got 3 motor controllers to attach to those. That all just needs to go together, and then we'll have 4 working winches instead of just 1. So that's really our next goal in the Tuco Flyer project. But also on Tuco Flyer, this stuff on the desk here, so I've still got work to do in just mechanically putting together all of the, the whole room is basically a robot with this project. And so this is the piece that actually holds the wire leash. And I was having trouble with it this morning because the nut holes on the plastic, the retaining holes for the nuts, are a little oversized, and so the nuts slip. And I had tried gluing the nuts in with E6000 when I assembled it, but somehow the glue managed to hold the screws really effectively and the nuts not at all. So disassembling it was kind of annoying, and I'm going to need to fix that properly. And I also need to attach the counterweight system to get that wire out of the way. So there's just a bunch of that to do. Anyway, a brief aside, I wanted to show you the thing that I was distracted by this morning. I don't usually get that into video games, but occasionally something just seems like, I don't know, awesome, and I have to share it. And so this is something that it happens to be made by some people that I know IRL who are pretty cool. But they just do really amazing art. And so this is written by Porpentine, who also does like novels and Twine games, if you know some of her other work. And the art is done by Adarook, and or I mean not art, but like the pixel art I think is hers, and the music features music by a few different artists. It's been really cool. There's basically one chapter available as a free web game. Whoa, sorry, that's gonna be really loud if I play it here. But basically, you can play the first chapter in the browser, and then the second chapter is like a downloadable game, which is right now out on Windows. But I'm hoping I can help them get a Mac release out at some point. And the Windows version runs pretty fine in a VM. And other people have reported it works pretty well in Wine. So anyway, that's been fun. That also prompted me to, again, think about whether we should actually start scheduling this stuff. So far, sometimes people ask about the streaming and, like, is it scheduled, is it spontaneous? So far, it's basically been spontaneous, and it tends to coincide with when I have work to do that can be streamed, interestingly. But I think lately I've been getting used to being able to stream more of a variety of content. Plus, I have just enough of a variety of things to do that both are and aren't streamable, that I think these days I could probably just like pick some time slots, like daily or like 4 times a week or like whatever, or not 4 times, that's not enough, but like, I don't know, just pick a number and we can adjust it up or down if it's like too much or not enough, but like basically just try to make the streams a little bit more regular. So if you wanted to weigh in on this, I have a Twitter poll out right now. I know it's kind of hard to actually send links across this ether here, but nobody feels like copying down that number. But if you go to my twitter.com/scanlime right now, you'll see this, or in the stream chat if you're in that. Microhex posted the link a little earlier. And yeah, so I'm just curious for some feedback, because it would be convenient, I think, for me and for some viewers if there was a more regular schedule. And I'm getting more used to just like how much of this I can do and how much of what kinds of work is actually interesting to stream. So I think we can start to make this a little bit more predictable if that's helpful for folks. But the flip side is that a more random sort of schedule means that people from a lot of different time zones can tune in, which is pretty cool. So, maybe we have some compromise, like there's a regular schedule, and then occasionally I do other stuff, like when I have something kind of especially cool to show. Paul says, good evening from a Pennsylvania copper foundry. That's cool. It's a slightly different kind of factory than the one I'm in. Anyway, yeah, so that's I guess the first thing. I don't know if I had any other sort of administrative stuff to go into. There's cat, there's more building. I've got the, so these microcontroller boards for the winches are just these off-the-shelf, like, TI dev kits, and it was pretty close to just being exactly what I needed for this project, so I didn't bother designing a separate PCB, which in hindsight has made some of this a little bit annoying, but it's, it's prototypey. So I've got that wiring pretty much done, and I think the next step is to actually just physically mount those. Let's see. I've also got this overhead camera. I wonder if that's useful. So, because this desk I usually film from is just getting a little full compared to how large these Winch Bots are. So let's maybe put this mostly complete Winch Bot on this desk for a little while. And I've got 3 more to work on that are in roughly the same state. I like doing this kind of assembly line style where I just pick one job and then do it on all 3 of the winches, but these are so big that I can't actually fit them all on my desk now. But let's grab a couple. It does look like the next step is probably about brass inserts. How do I want to do this? I think the way I need to do this for inserting brass inserts for these circuit boards is usually to press them in with, I have like a separate soldering iron tip I use for plastic stuff, so because I don't want to mess up any of my good tips, and so use that to press the brass inserts into the plastic. But then to actually get them properly lined up, I think I'll actually need to put the circuit board in there and just very lightly screw some screws in there while the inserts are still warm. I think that's going to be how I have to do this. I'm pretty sure that's how I had to do the last one. Otherwise I had sort of alignment problems. James says overhead view makes it really clear that you need a better desk. I mean, I have a bunch of desks. I just don't have them all right here. And that's mostly because I've got storage kind of right here instead, which I just need to, I need to have like fewer unnecessary objects on the close by storage, which is part of why I'm assembling these winches, because I want to get them to be less, you know, sprawling all over my shop. Assembled winches take up a lot less space than parts for the winches. Anyway, I think I've got to put this one on the floor for now. The overhead view, unfortunately, has a pretty severe lag. So, like, if I'm holding up my hand now and I'm gonna snap. No, that was a terrible snap. Okay, you can't even see that. Okay, so that gives you an idea of the lag. That's because it's an IP camera, which is also what I think of when people suggest using an Ethernet camera for Tuco Flyer sometimes. Because I really like the SDI for low latency. Can't really beat that. Anyway, I have to keep the stream really short, as I said, because I just didn't have any long blocks of time today, but I wanted to get some kind of stream out anyway and update you, so I'm going to make you a deal. I'll put in 3 brass inserts and 1 circuit board, and then I think that's about what I have to, when I have to end the stream. Luckily, I have this microphone, so you can watch me wander around and collect bolts from other parts of the shop. I think I just have the inserts and the M3 nuts all in the same place. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, if from the overhead view, it's probably obvious that some of this is like in the process of being reorganized, as it usually is. It's a little bit less of a mess than it was a couple weeks ago, but it still needs some work. These carts with the heavier equipment are often in the hallway over there, but it makes them harder to actually use because there's like that rug in between here and the hallway, and I have to drag it across the rug. So I've been keeping the carts on this side because I've been using those power tools a bit. Yeah, this has the brass inserts. Let's warm up the plastic. I was trying to come up with a terrible name for this soldering iron. It's like, solder does not stick to this tip anymore. It's just, the only thing this is good for is doing horrible things to plastic right now. This is my old Weller iron and one of the tips for it. The aux desk. I mean, pretty much all the desks here are fine. But I mean, they're like the same kind and they're just not that great. Like, I don't have any great desks except for the desk I have, the computer monitor, where am I even pointing? That one. That desk is great, but it's not like a sturdy work desk. It's more of like an office desk. And then the rest of them are just like cheapo blow molded plastic desks. They're nothing special, but I like them for what they are. Oh, I can make this a little easier on myself and use the dead board that I've been using as a kind of template. Let me switch back to the regular camera here. So I've got these that are all wired up. I've also got one that I blew out the microcontroller on this board, so I've just been using this as just like a dummy board for mechanical, and that's actually kind of a useful thing right now. I can just stick this in here, and that actually, oh, that's beautiful. That just lines up nicely. The network jack sticks through there, and it just sits on those posts. So I just have to get a couple of these ready, and oh, you know, maybe I don't have to do the board straight up. I mean, the thing I was talking about where I put the screws in when it's soft, I don't know. Anyway, these are M3x8s. Let's make sure I have a wrench for these handy. These, you know, strange. I still don't really get the logic where some metric screws just end up having heads that are like way tinier than usual. Like this one takes an M2 wrench. I'm not used to M3 screws taking an M2 wrench. I'm used to them taking an M2.5. Aiden says it's like Tuco avoids the camera. Yeah, it kind of is, which is why we need to make the camera more mobile. Ha 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 ha. Q, Skynet, etc., etc. Oh yeah, Paul says the Skycam and the headset seem to be a good combination. Yeah, I think so. The lag is annoying, but you know, since it is a good location, like that Skycam is basically just like a security camera kind of thing that I can also use for streaming, but I might take one of the cameras from the C90 thing with the HDMI output and put it up there. It's like one of the pan tilt zoom cams. And then I would just have to run like an HDMI extender or a long SDI cable and get the video all the way down here. And I'd need another channel on my inputs. It's just one of those things where like every time I want to add something new to this video setup, I have to juggle things around so that they all fit. But yeah, it's a thing that I would like to do at some point, is put a better camera up there for overhead view. But then again, it's also the case that Tuco Flyer will fill part of that need, I think. Okay. I just had to put bolts on these just to test them, because sometimes the inserts are not actually good. I've had a couple of dud inserts, but that's not a common problem. It's one of those things where you bit by it like once or twice, and then you always check. And I need tweezers, and the terrible soldering iron, and some desk space. And some zoom. It would be really convenient if I could just hold these with a screw, but that would just be too much of a heat sink. So I've got to hold it just slightly with the tweezers and then push it in. In fact, maybe I can preheat it on the iron first. So I'm just pushing it down flat with the soldering iron, or trying to. And now there's actually some plastic kind of squishing up through the middle. I'm going to try to... Okay, so the threads are now full of molten plastic. I'm going to see if I can chase those with a screw. I don't know if putting the soldering iron down the middle was the right thing to do. I probably should have tried to get that plastic out with the tweezers instead of with the soldering iron. I don't know if you could see what was going on, but when I pushed it down, there was a little mound of plastic in the center. Well, I might just have to chase those threads with an M3 tap once the plastic cools. Anyway, I don't think I even have time to do all three of these right now. We'll have to come back to these in a bit, but I hope a really short stream was better than no stream today. So, and sorry, I'm a little behind on the chat here. A double-threaded insert says Mike's ready to repair. Tap the plastic, thread the metal insert. Yeah, that's a good idea too. I haven't really been sure or confident in threading PLA, but I think given how much luck I've seen other people having with that, then I should try that more. Sharif is asking what I'm building. It's called a Tuco Flyer. If you check out my earlier videos on scanlime.org, the most recent one or a couple explain it. Anyway, I think that's all I can do for today, but thanks for dropping by for the short stream, and thanks to everyone who supports the stream, and I'll try to do a more proper one of these as soon as I can, but hopefully the short one was alright too. I'll see you later.